Let's talk about this conference championship game. Rematch, Oregon and Washington. What are you expecting come Friday?
An epic title fight in Las Vegas. All we need is that guy to kind of come out before the game and say, let's get ready to rumble. You know the voice that I'm talking about that I can't really do. But that's what it's going to be. And that's how it needs to be talked about. We're talking about two of the top teams in America. And no one in the history of this league has ever done what Washington just did. Not Oregon, not SC, not anybody, ever. So to go unscathed, to get to the title game, you need to give them their props. You need to give them props, period. And I don't think anybody in the country is playing better since midseason than the Oregon Ducks. The offensive line is the most improved group on the West Coast, one of the best in America. Of course, Bo Nix is probably the Heisman frontrunner after his game yesterday. Michael Penix Jr. right below him if you were going to rank the two right now. So you got everything you want. And I think the fun part for me is these defenses. They're both veteran-laden. They're physical. We're talking about third, fourth, fifth, seventh year players in Popo Amavai for the Oregon Ducks, as well as some young bucks, right, like Mateo Uyunglele. So you have everything you want in a legit heavyweight, old school, Holyfield Tyson. Like, this is going to be fun in Las Vegas. Cannot wait to get there. I anticipate this one coming right down to the end again. And I hope you guys are drinking some water tonight. Keep those throats active because over the course of the next couple days, we need to continue to have the realistic conversation of if Oregon wins and if it's a tight game, that the Pac-12 should send two teams to the college football playoff. Florida State, I think they're going to end up with a win tonight. Haven't looked that impressive. We know what the deal is at the quarterback position. What's the committee going to do if it's a tight game? Texas, imagine they win the Big 12. They'll probably get in with one loss. But if Bama is to upset Georgia, Georgia's left home 4 times all season long. They have not looked like the 2021 Georgia Bulldogs, in my humble opinion. So get ready for the conversation. We need to front load the conversation right now if it is the epic game that all of us anticipate.
Yogi, I think we do expect an epic game, and these teams have gotten there in different ways, right? Oregon bounces back after that loss to UW, and they're blowing everybody out. Then you got UW, who's scraping by these close wins. I think both teams benefits from their journeys, but when the committee looks at them, who do you think is more attractive if we do get that tight game at the end of the year?
Well, I think it depends on, who wins it, obviously. You know, if UW can win a tight game, they're in no problem. I do think the committee, and I get the great honor, I get to present to the committee a couple times during the year. We'll present again this coming week, myself, Commissioner George Kleofkoff, and Merton Hanks, Jim Thornby, and others. And when we get on that call, it's all about context of these teams. It's context of Washington and some of the injuries they've had up front. It's context when they struggled, the health of Michael Penix Jr. was battling the flu. It's also the context of being undefeated and what that road is like. Any team in history, other than like 2020 Alabama, when they've been undefeated, they've had their moments where they've struggled. And the reality is in this league, we have to talk about close wins as gritty wins, not as ugly wins. Oh, UW didn't look great against Washington State. Well, what do you say about Georgia and Georgia Tech? Do you call that a gritty win? Probably in the South. We need to do that out on the West Coast as well, because I think the narrative is a little inaccurate of, UW, they haven't looked the part, but they're undefeated. How about the teams that they have played? You heard my partner Ted Robinson close out our broadcast. The best conference in the country, bar none. And I think the numbers would reflect that. Who's going to New York City would reflect that. Coaching would reflect that. I mean, bottom line, it's been a battle every week, and none of those teams in Oregon and specifically UW have played any easy games. They haven't had a healthy game, a go-get-right game. They played Chattanooga in Week 11, didn't play Louisiana Monroe in Week 11. They went down to Corvallis and got everything from an Oregon State team, for what it's worth, that I picked to go to the title game. So I just think the context is what we'll continue to present. And if it's close and the Ducks win, I hope the committee continues to present that context of, we should have a conversation around the two best teams in the country, two of the best teams in the country coming from the West, because we know they can score. I talked about their veteran defenses, and they've met the moment when they've had to, especially UW. In these tight games, they found ways to win.
Two of the best teams in the West, but two of the best quarterbacks in the entire country, with something a little bit more significant on the line. Not significant, but individual in the Heisman Trophy presentation. Who do you think, how much is this game? I believe you get a vote. Do you get a vote in the Heisman?
Yeah, sure do.
How much are you going to weigh this game and the outcome of this game in who you choose to win the Heisman Trophy?
Well, I think a big part of the Heisman, and it is a quarterback award, and if I had to give you my ballot today, it'd be 3 quarterbacks who are playing or have played in the Pac-12. Jaden Daniels would be the third one. And so much of the Heisman is about all these Heisman moments. For me, I've got a 10-point scale that I look at every different category, but one of them is on big stages, in big games, or critical moments. How do you operate? Here's the unique conversation around Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix. Michael Penix Jr., whether you look at the Oregon game, late in the game, made a play to win the game. Look at the Oregon State game, made a play to win the game. Look at today and the decision he made to not hand it off on that replay you showed, but flip it on a brilliant play call from Ryan Grubb. I mean, he's had Heisman moments. I think Bo Nix, they've just had blowout moments. Now, I look at the throw across the field last night. Might have been the best throw of the season. I mean, just a brilliant throw from him. His command at the line of scrimmage, all the intangibles continue to stand out. So, to me, I look at these guys as relatively neck and neck. I think Bo Nix probably has the slighter edge right now, but I love what they stand for. I mean, the award, just to remind all my friends, all the voters out there, the award is defined by excellence with integrity. Both of these young men have done that, and it'll probably come down in these voters' minds of who plays better on the biggest stage, because unfortunately the lazy voters that are often lazy in terms of waiting until a finality of a game at the end of the season to cast their vote, they're going to look at this game and say, okay, who won, who played better, that gets my vote. So that's probably just the truth. Personally, for me, I'll still look at the totality of the season.